Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to go over my round 7 game from Zadar. A game in which I faced a lower rated opponent but who's had very good results during the tournament, and before the tournament in previous events I thought that his playing strength was much higher than his rating, and I guess that is so. So okay, he plays either knight f3 or d4 depending on the game. In this game he played d4 and I was preparing systems which are not even close to my usual semi-Slav setups, wanted to mix things up. In Zagreb I've been playing the Queen's Indian defense setup most of the time against similar opponents or opponents who play similar openings, and here I've decided to go for something else. So I played knight f6, he played knight f3, and here I went for c5. And this is now the invitation to the Benoni defense, if he wishes to enter a Benoni type structure. The best move for white is of course d5, where black has several options, either e6, g6 or b5, which is the main move which I would have played. After which the positions get very interesting, and it's a game in which anything could happen. The other options after c5 are either e3 or c3, which are both slightly more passive than d5 of course, and another option is c4, which he had gone for, and this is now the symmetrical English. Imagine we've started with c4, c5, knight f3, knight f6, and he now goes d4. Okay, and I was prepared for this as well, and I knew what to do, but I didn't like playing these types of structures in which I sort of have a Sicilian, but it's a non-theoretical Sicilian, so I don't really know the theory, and I don't have experience in the Sicilian to be able to adapt to any sort of Sicilian that I'm not familiar with. So I knew the position, but I didn't have experience in the middle games. Okay, cd, knight takes, and here I knew that the main move was e5, and I've actually studied the line, but I did not like it at all. Knight b5, d5, cd, bishop c5 is the line, knight to c3, and now black is supposed to castle, g3, queen b6. And this is a game, I've analyzed the game by Anish Giri in this line, and I just do not understand why black is going for this. For the moment you're a pawn down, okay, you're going to regain the pawn, but white is going to have an amazing bishop on g2, you're going to have a weakness on b7. Knight a4 is a threat as soon as white plays something like e3. Okay, you can go bishop g4, but there's some dynamic pressure, but I did not want to go for this. And of course, if he doesn't know the line, I'm just going to be better. If he knows it, I'm not comfortable. So I went for e6, which is the second most common move, going for a sort of Sicilian structure. I want to play a6, knight c6. Okay, knight c3 here, and bishop b4. I believe knight c3 is an imprecision, if not a mistake. Queen to c2, and now castles. And in this position, well, I'm threatening to either ruin his pawn structure, or after he plays e4, or take the pawn. So he played e4, which I think just invites bishop takes c3. Now again, I did not check this game out with an engine, nor will I. I spent a few hours analyzing it. There's one point which I'm going to get to, or 2 points, which are very interesting, but this, whether there's a better move than bishop takes c3, yes, I believe there probably is. I don't know what it is, maybe just knight c6 or e5 or d5. But I think a practical decision to ruin his pawn structure is fine. So after d5, something like takes should be fine for me. After d5, e5 should be fine for me. And I don't know. After d5, e5, I can actually go knight e4. So that's, I'm sure d5 is a fine move. But as I said, I took bishop c3. He wants to take with the b pawn to make sure he doesn't lose his e4 pawn. And now, yeah, starting from here, I believe he could have played the move e5 and on almost every turn. Here I played a move which I've concluded is a mistake. I was afraid of a threat for no reason. I played the move a6, which is completely unnecessary. I was afraid of him playing knight b5. So what I should have played is knight c6. If he does go knight b5, I can simply go d5, and he's not threatening anything. So a6 is a waste of time. But okay, with a6 at least I get to keep his doubled pawns on the c-file, so there's an upside to that, even though I believe the move is really too slow. And here, he played bishop e2, but I think the way to punish the slow move by black is to play e5. And after looking at this position for a long while, I've concluded that I would have played knight to g4 and sacrificed an exchange, because I think the ruined pawn structure is enough compensation for the exchange and the fact that I'm a pawn up. If I go something like knight e8, then I think bishop to a3 is very annoying, and I don't see how do I defend my exchange anyway, and that's basically the only option I have. I could go knight h5, but after g4 I'm losing my knight. So knight g4, bishop a3, and now I would not try to play rook e8 or something. I would have just taken, and after bishop takes, queen takes. So I believe I have, I probably don't have enough if you turned on an engine, but I would be quite okay in this position. I wouldn't think that I'm much worse or lost. But anyway, he played bishop e2, I played knight c6, and now again e5 is stopped for the moment, but as soon as the knight goes away, as soon as nothing is defending e5, then e5 becomes a threat again. Bishop e3, queen c7, I want to reinforce e5. I'm aware of e5 as a good move, but I wasn't aware that it was so powerful. Knight takes c6, I want to take with the d pawn to keep my pawn structure. And here he played f4. Again, I believe that e5 was the move to play, because in this position, if I go queen e5, he has this very annoying bishop d4, and my king is castled. So when my queen moves, let's say here, I think a pawn storm is very dangerous, and I didn't know what to think about this position, but I wouldn't be comfortable playing it. Of course, his king is still in the center, probably castling queenside, not the safest place, but he's virtually playing a piece up until I manage to develop my stupid c8 bishop. And he has the bishop pair and the queen staring at my king, semi-open g-file almost, and I don't know, I would be scared to play this. Instead of that, he went f4, and I now went c5. I think c5 is a good move. I want to go b6, bishop e7. I also want to stop him from playing c5, because if he plays c5, let's say I play something and he plays c5, now my position is very hard to play. I actually have experience in these types of structures because I play the Kramnik Sicilian against the e6 Sicilian, which is a similar pawn structure with the pawn on e6, bishop on c8. And just recently I've played c5 against an opponent, and his bishop and rook were dead for the rest of the game. So yeah, c5 is something black needs to play. Here he castled, b6, and now finally e5. But at this point, I wasn't at all afraid of this move, and I was kind of looking forward to it. And I thought that... just give me a second. Lucija, hoćeš se javiti, molim te? Nemam pojma. Sorry, my phone is ringing and I gave it to Lucija. Okay. The volume is down, but... Wait, just give me a second. Okay. Okay. So after e5, I wasn't afraid of this move, because now I'm no longer losing an exchange. I've played the move c5, and I can play the move knight e8. Okay, now knight e8 there's a plan to this move. It's not that I'm going to be rerouting my knight to c7 and breaking with b5. I'm going to be defending / attacking / using weaknesses in his position, so I was quite happy to do that. Here he plays bishop d3, which I'd expected, and I go g6, all part of the plan. Rook to f3, and now I go knight to g7. Okay. Okay. And now after I've played knight g7, my knight can come into the f5 square, it could come into the h5 square. I'm not really afraid of any sort of attacks, and I can then go bishop b7, rook to d8, rook to d7, rook f to d8, and my position is ideal. Very harmonic, and I just love my position here. Here I think he went wrong, although I'm not sure what to suggest. I can understand his desire to play this move. He played the move g4. Now g4 is of course designed to stop knight f5 and to try to play f5. If he plays f5, and that's more important than trying to stop knight f5, for the moment he has 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders of the square, I could be in trouble. So I need to do something now. I need to be stopping f5. So bishop to b7. Here he played bishop e4, challenging my bishop, which means that that's virtually reinforcing the move f5. So I played rook a to b8, and I don't think he can play f5 here. If he goes f5, I think I can just take, queen takes, and offer a queen trade, which I think would lead a good position for me. And if the queens are gone, I just have a better pawn structure. So that was my reasoning. Pushing with f6 does nothing. Taking either way does nothing. My pawn structure is still good. So after rook a to b8, I had a long think before this move. It's a weird move, but it actually stops his f5 threat. So he took on b7. I took with the queen to threaten the rook. He played queen to f2. I went queen e4. And in this position, I thought black is just much better. I have a very active queen. His c4 pawn is about to drop. I've stopped f5 because now the bishops are gone and my queen is in the defense. And I can start developing my stuff to the d file. And then his move came, rook h3. And I was aware that an attack like this could come and that I have enough time to defend, but I still took a long time to make sure there are no tricks. Okay, so the threat is obviously give white two moves, he will play queen h4 and checkmate me. So there were several options. I could either go rook f to d8 and play h5 after he plays queen h4. I could play h5 immediately, or a weird option that I saw was g5, where if he takes fg5, I take queen g4, and I'm good in this position. Why am I good in this position? Because if he doesn't trade the queens off, I can take on c4 and then defend from e4. This diagonal is important, and my queen can occupy it even with queen to f5 and queen g6. So I'm defending, and he has a ton of weaknesses, and you can see, as you can see. The problem is, what if he doesn't take? So if he just goes rook e1 and I go queen takes c4, I wasn't sure about this position. If takes, I would have to get to this diagonal, and then the bishop moves, queen g6. I don't know. Now there are two pawns, and I wasn't quite sure. But I still liked g5 as a move. I thought it defended everything. Okay. After rook to h3, I decided to play the move h5. Why I didn't want to go for rook f to d8 was if he goes queen h4 and I go h5, g takes h5, knight takes h5, queen g5. What was I afraid of? Yeah, he's threatening to win the knight for the moment. And if I go queen to f5, I believe he can just take my knight. And if I take the queen, he takes with the rook. So I'm a piece down. So queen f5 is impossible. So I thought this queen g5 maneuver, if I don't have queen f5, would be fairly annoying. So I would have to go something like rook to d3. But when he defends the bishop with probably rook to e1 or rook h5 even, I don't know, maybe I have to go queen c4 here, but then I lose a knight, it's a complicated position. I just didn't want to allow that. So I just played h5, and I think h5 is the safest option. He still went queen h4, which at this point doesn't do anything, and after rook f to d8 we now have transposed, but I saw a solution to this problem in the meantime, and I wasn't afraid of the position anymore. And the thing is, he did not take immediately and play queen g5, he played rook e1. After rook e1 I just went queen c2, and now I'm threatening rook to d1. If I trade off a pair of rooks and keep my queen on this diagonal, then he just doesn't have anything. Gh5, knight h5, queen to g4 was played in this position, and after queen to g4 I'm sorry, queen to g4 was played in this position. I just played queen to f5 here. The difference in this position is that if he takes my knight, I can just take the queen. So that doesn't work. So queen g5 would have been better in my opinion. But after queen g4, rook takes knight, queen takes queen, and he basically has to exchange the queens. If he doesn't, I'm going to rule the d file and probably win some more material, at least the f4 pawn or the rook. He can't defend both easily. If he plays queen f3, I go rook d3. Okay, so queen f5, ef5, bishop c1 played by him, king to f8, and at this point I think somewhere he offered the draw. I declined. One thing that should be noted, even though it looks very nice, the move e6 is not possible. I can just take it, however absurd that seems, and rook e6 allowing all of my pawns to drop because I have rook d8 check. That would be a piece up. But I still played, after king f2 I played king e7 to make sure there are no tricks. King to e2, rook to b7, I want to control the b file, rook to d3. I'm not unhappy to trade off a pair of rooks. Rook takes d3, king takes d3, rook d7 check, especially with tempo, king to e3, and now f6. I want to break open the position. If he takes, I want to take with the knight. Obviously, that's why it's important that the king is covering me on the e file, his king, that this is not a double check. Therefore, he plays king f2, so this will now be a double check. I obviously don't want to take, but I've calculated all of this. I have the move rook d3, and after e takes, even king takes is good, because he doesn't have any easy infiltration points. He tried rook to e3 in this position, but this just blunders material. I hope you can find the best move here for black. You can pause the video if you want. Okay, the move is knight takes f4. If he takes my rook, then obviously I'm just a pawn up and the bishop up, because I'm going to win the c1 bishop in the end. So rook d3, knight d3 check, king e2, knight takes c1, and I even may win the a2 pawn. So that would be a huge blunder. Instead of that, he went rook to e8, and now I just secured my position. Knight e6, rook b8, rook d6, perfectly safe, and I have to say more than over now. If you play well. h4, king e5, king f3, rook d3 check, king e2, rook d6. Here I was having second thoughts, should I trade my b pawn for his c pawn and his c4 pawn, but I decided to go back and wait a bit with that. I went rook d1 first, bishop e3, and now rook d3. When the bishop is pinned, I'm threatening the move f4. So he has to move the king away, so I have basically gained the tempo. Rook takes c3, rook takes b6, rook c2 check, king d3, rook takes a2, rook c6, and in this position I'm 2 pawns up. Very easy position. What I should do is probably just play a5 and a4 and a3 and promote my pawn. But I played like a moron, rook a5, which makes no sense. I guess I wanted to secure my position, but after bishop d2, I'd completely missed his threat. And I was aware of that throughout the endgame at a couple of points, but here I was just blind. Luckily for me, my opponent was blind as well. I played rook a3 check, and my opponent resigned. With his move, he played king e2, obviously allowing knight d4, and I'm a rook up. However, find a move that's at least a draw for white, even though he's 2 pawns down. You can pause the video. Okay, the move is bishop c3 check, and I completely missed that. I'm not sure if he didn't see the pattern before during the game or what, because that was threatened with my knight on e6, my king on e5 for a while. And here I've spent a long time analyzing this position. I believe that this is just a draw. I believe that I can defend as black, but there's no way I can win. So obviously I have to take. There's no other moves. If I don't take, I lose a whole piece. So takes, king takes. And here's my analysis: a5, rook a6, f4. king to d2, a4, rook takes a4, knight d4. And I'm going to win the h4 pawn, so rook a6, knight f3, takes rook c6, f3, rook c5, king f4. And here I've calculated a variation which ends in a fairly simple draw. And I believe that's what you get with good play. I'm not sure because I didn't use the engine, but I'm sure I wouldn't be able to win that game. So yeah, the final position after bishop d2, rook a3 check is complicated. I think I played rook a3 in a second. I didn't even consider bishop c3 check. Same as him, when he saw rook a3, he figured that he's just lost, I think, and he played king e2, just blundered the rook. So yeah, not a good end to the game, but I believe it was a good game overall. It was a structure I was almost completely unfamiliar with, so I got a bit of practice in it, and I think I played well considering my advantages in the game. I played against his pawn structure, I played c5, bishop b7, had a good position, and I defended against his attack and then started countering. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the game. Let me know what you think and stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.